Sometimes the hardest goodbyes come far too soon. Today, we gather not just to mourn, but to remember, to celebrate, and to honor a life that touched millions. Eric Dane, the man who made us laugh as Dr. McSteamy, who challenged us with his portrayal of Cal Jacobs, and who inspired us with his courage in the face of death, has left us. At just 53 years old, after a valiant 10-month battle with ALS, Eric took his last breath on Thursday afternoon, surrounded by the love that defined his life. This is his story. This is his legacy. This is our last goodbye to a man who gave us so much more than entertainment. He gave us hope, laughter, and a reminder of what it means to fight with grace and dignity until the very end. The news came with the weight of inevitability, yet it still felt like a punch to the gut. Eric Dane's family released a statement that began with 4 simple words that changed everything. With heavy hearts we share. Eric Dane passed away on Thursday afternoon following a courageous battle with ALS. But those clinical words don't capture the reality of his final days. He wasn't alone in some sterile hospital room. He was home. He was surrounded by friends who had walked beside him through decades of life and career. He was holding the hands of his devoted wife, Rebecca Gayheart, the woman who stood by him even when their marriage had ended, proving that love transcends the boundaries we try to place around it. And most importantly, he was with Billie and Georgia, his 2 daughters, who were always the center of his world. He will be deeply missed and lovingly remembered always, the family wrote. Eric adored his fans and is forever grateful for the outpouring of love and support he's received. In those final moments, Eric Dane was exactly where he needed to be, home, loved, and at peace. To understand Eric Dane's impact, we have to go back to 2006. Grey's Anatomy was already a cultural phenomenon, but when Eric Dane walked onto that set as Dr. Mark Sloan, something shifted. He wasn't just another handsome doctor. He was McSteamy, a nickname that would follow him for the rest of his life, and one he wore with good humor and pride. His character was supposed to be a villain of sorts, the other man, the complication, the heartbreaker. But Eric Dane brought such warmth, such depth, and yes, such irresistible charm to Mark Sloan that he became one of the show's most beloved characters. For 6 seasons, he made us laugh, made us cry, and made us believe in second chances and redemption. Patrick Dempsey, who played Dr. Derek Shepard and worked alongside Dane for years, spoke beautifully about his friend and colleague. He was the funniest man, Dempsey told Virgin Radio, his voice thick with emotion. He was such a joy to work with, and I want to just remember him in that spirit, because any time he was on set, he brought so much fun to it. He had a great sense of humor. But Dempsey also saw beyond the jokes and the laughter. He described Dane as wickedly intelligent, a man whose mind was as sharp as his wit. And in those final months, Dempsey watched his friend do an incredible job at bringing awareness to this horrible disease. Kim Raver, who plays Dr. Teddy Altman, shared a memory that perfectly captures Eric's essence. During filming, he'd get this twinkle in his eye, she recalled, and with a mischievous look, he would deliver with perfect comedic timing a line of dialogue that would floor you. That twinkle, that mischief, that perfect timing, that was Eric Dane. Kevin McKidd, who portrays trauma surgeon Owen Hunt, kept his tribute simple but profound. Rest in peace, buddy. Sometimes the shortest words carry the heaviest weight. But Eric Dane was never content to be just one thing. After leaving Grey's Anatomy, he could have coasted on McSteamy's fame. Instead, he challenged himself, taking on roles that showed his range and depth as an actor. He became Captain Tom Chandler in The Last Ship, a military leader carrying the weight of humanity's survival on his shoulders. He brought gravitas and vulnerability to the role, proving he could carry a series as its leading man. And then came Cal Jacobs. In HBO's Euphoria, Eric Dane took on one of the most complex, controversial characters on television. Cal Jacobs was a family patriarch hiding secrets, struggling with identity, and making devastating choices. It was the opposite of McSteamy's charm. It was dark, it was uncomfortable, and it was brilliant. Sam Levinson, Euphoria's creator, said it perfectly. I'm heartbroken by the loss of our dear friend. Working with him was an honor. Being his friend was a gift. That's the thing about Eric Dane. He didn't just work with people. He befriended them. He made them better. He left them with memories they'll carry forever. Born in San Francisco in 1972, Eric Dane's journey to stardom wasn't instant. He made his television debut in The Wonder Years in 1993, one of countless young actors trying to make it in Los Angeles. But he had something special, a combination of talent, work ethic, and genuine likability that opened doors. He played Jason Dean in Charmed, where he first showed his ability to bring depth to fantasy television. Alyssa Milano, his co-star, remembered him with touching words. "My heart is with the people who were lucky enough to be his home." She recalled how Eric transformed when speaking about his daughters and Rebecca. When it came to his daughters and Rebecca, everything in him softened. He carried them with him even in rooms where they weren't present. A breathtakingly beautiful family. He appeared in beloved films like Marley and Me, Valentine's Day, and Burlesque. Ashton Kutcher, who starred with him in Valentine's Day, posted a simple but powerful tribute. "Miss you, buddy. Let's keep fighting the fight to solve ALS." Nina Dobrev, who worked with Dane in the 2022 film Redeeming Love, described him as someone who led with kindness and made everyone on our set feel seen. She called him warm, generous, prepared, and so passionate about what he did. Every person who worked with Eric Dane tells the same story. He was kind, he was professional, he was talented, and he made the work better just by being there. April 2025. That's when everything changed. Eric Dane stood before the world and said 3 letters that would define his final chapter. ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, a progressive, degenerative disease that attacks nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord, gradually paralyzing the body while leaving the mind intact. There is no cure. Most people live 3 to 5 years after diagnosis. Some live longer. Many don't. Eric Dane could have retreated. He could have spent his remaining time in private, with his family, away from cameras and questions. No one would have blamed him. Instead, he fought, not just for himself, but for everyone. For 10 months, Eric Dane became one of the most visible and passionate advocates for ALS research and awareness. He joined the board of directors of Target ALS, an organization dedicated to finding treatments and a cure. Under his influence, one campaign surpassed its fundraising goal of $500,000. In September, he appeared in a fundraising video where he introduced himself simply an actor, a father, and now a person living with ALS. He spoke about his mission with clarity and purpose. Finally pushed toward ending this disease. In November, he took on a role that mirrored his own life. He appeared in an episode of NBC's Brilliant Minds, playing a firefighter struggling to accept support after an ALS diagnosis. It was art and life colliding in the most heartbreaking way. Earlier this month, Time magazine named him one of their 100 most influential people in health. When asked about his advocacy, Eric was characteristically honest. "I'm trying to save my life, and if my actions can move the needle forward for myself and countless others, I'm satisfied." In June, he opened up to Good Morning America about the anger he felt. He had lost his father to suicide as a child, and now he faced the possibility of being taken from his own daughters while they were still young. "There's a very good chance I'm going to be taken from my girls while they're very young," he said, the pain evident in every word. But even in that pain, he kept fighting. He kept advocating. He kept hoping. Eric Dane's relationship with Rebecca Gayheart is a love story that defies easy definition. They married in 2004. They had 2 beautiful daughters together. They separated in 2018, and Rebecca filed for divorce. But in March 2025, just 1 month before Eric's diagnosis became public, Rebecca dismissed the divorce petition. Their love had evolved into something deeper than romance. It became familial, unbreakable, and eternal. In December 2025, Rebecca wrote an essay for Cut explaining their relationship. While the romantic love had faded, the familial love remained strong. She knew she would always want the best for him, and he felt the same way about her. When Eric's diagnosis came, Rebecca didn't hesitate. She showed up on the Broad Ideas podcast. She spoke about teaching their daughters a crucial life lesson. We show up for people, no matter what. He is family. He is their father. We show up with dignity and grace and get through it the best we can. In an interview with Diane Sawyer, Eric spoke about Rebecca with deep gratitude. He talked to her every day. She was his biggest champion, his most stalwart supporter. He leaned on her, and she never wavered. Their daughters, Billie, now 15, and Georgia, now 13, were there until the end. 2 young girls watching their father fight an impossible battle, learning lessons about courage, love, and grace that will shape them for the rest of their lives. Yesterday, Hollywood lost an actor. Today, the world says goodbye to a warrior. But Eric Dane's story doesn't end with his death. It continues in every dollar raised for ALS research. It lives on in every episode of Grey's Anatomy that makes someone smile. It echoes in the hearts of everyone who watched him fight with such courage and grace. He was 53 years old, far too young. But in those 53 years, and especially in those final 10 months, Eric Dane showed us what it means to live fully, love deeply, and fight bravely. To Rebecca, to Billie, to Georgia, thank you for sharing him with us. To his friends, his co-stars, his colleagues, thank you for loving him and honoring his memory. And to Eric Dane, thank you for the laughter, the tears, the performances, and the inspiration. This is our last goodbye, McSteamy, but your legacy will live forever. Rest in peace, Eric Dane. The twinkle in your eye, the mischief in your smile, and the courage in your heart will never be forgotten.